Hey, Chad Imhoff here, EFT guy. Excited to share some thoughts with you from our EFT group this morning in supervision, and wanted to just get into a little bit of working with individuals and keeping a focus. Sometimes it's easier, I think, to work with a couple because you kind of know the EFT map, or you can kind of stay focused in that way. But with an individual, sometimes we get into conversations that we don't want to have. So we're trying to keep our focus and really make sure we're doing a piece of work. We have to start with a goal or piece of work that we want to get done in our sessions. If we don't have that, if we don't know what we're doing, then I want to encourage you, grab something, ask the client, get clear on what we're doing in therapy. The next thing we want to do is really make sure that we know that. Like, okay, so we're working on grief today. If I use that as an example in this video, I want to say like, okay, I'm working on grief. So what do I mean grief, right? So we're going to get a little bit clearer. We're going to find a vivid portion or piece of the work, the trigger specifically, and we're going to get it as clear as we possibly can. The clearer I get my trigger, the more specific, the more detailed that is, the more likely I am to have lots and lots of emotion, right? I can get more emotion, more juice out of a session if I have a very clear trigger. And as I get that emotion, as I get new things and this felt sense starts to show up, I need to move that. The goal of EFT is not just to sit in emotion, it's to move emotion. We need to move, right? And so we're going to enact that emotion. If it's the loved one, if we're using grief, I'm going to say, could you imagine telling grandpa this thing, right? What would that be like if you did? I'm moving right to processing now, right? What's it like to say that to grandpa? What would he say if he could respond back to you? Right? If this loved one had a good way to respond, what would that look like? Could you take that in? And then we're going to move right on to a big summary of what we've just done. Tell them a little bit about the process. Say, man, this is the work. You're doing the work. You're able to kind of do this. We started with a big goal, but we found a piece of work that we wanted to do with grandpa, for instance. You shared some of your heart with grandpa. Grandpa actually got to respond to you. And now here we are. We're getting things done around this painful space. Man, this is a big deal. So I want to celebrate with someone when they're saying, hey, this is where it's been hurting and this is how it's gone. I'm going to run through this whole thing real fast. So I want to try to make sense of it. But we start up here with this overarching goal. Then we become a little bit more specific on what exact piece of work we want to do. We make that as vivid as we can. And then we expand that emotion. If you have the vivid trigger, it helps a ton to expand emotion. We're going to enact to a part or imagined other of self anyway, part of self or imagined other, and then we're going to process both sides of that, really trying to get the responsiveness or imagined responsiveness online for someone. Then we summarize and celebrate. Y'all, this is doable. Well, I want to encourage you, keep your focus. We've got this. We do. We get better together. So I hope this helps. I hope this little breakdown, this chart that I kind of have here, helps you kind of stay on target. Think of it as a funnel. Like we're going into the work. Anyway, thanks so much for sharing this with me. Excited, y'all. Keep doing the work. What a good group. Proud of y'all for the work you do. We get better together.